This is G.I. Joe Fan 2001, hoping that you had a happy Christmas, Hanukkah, or Kwanzaa, depending on which one you celebrate. And this is the final video for 2020. A look back on the year defined by COVID-19 that is coming to a close. We start with Ricky Gervais's monologue at the Golden Globes, and conclude with hope for a COVID-19 vaccine, and with Joe Biden and Kamala Harris becoming Person of the Year. And in between all of that, governments failed to contain the COVID-19 pandemic, Black Lives Matter made a comeback, and people took to the streets in droves of protests, and Joe Biden was elected as the next president of the United States. To say that this has been a pivotal year is an understatement. So let's look back on this very significant year in history that we won't be forgetting anytime soon. The year started with America killing Iranian General Qasem Soleimani in an airstrike outside Baghdad. America alleges that he was a state supporter of terrorism. This caused more tensions with Iran, a country already on edge with the US. This tension even caused a Ukrainian airliner to be shot down by accident, killing all 176 people on board. President Donald Trump was acquitted of impeachment, and Brexit finally happened, with the United Kingdom leaving the European Union. That same month, Prince Harry and his American wife Meghan stepped back as senior members of the British royal family and retreated from the public spotlight. And wildfire struck eastern Australia, destroying over 9,300 buildings, killing 34 people, and affecting at least 1 billion animals. Relief poured in from other countries, including New Zealand, Canada, and the United States. Kobe Bryant's helicopter crashed over Los Angeles County due to fog, killing him, his daughter, the pilot, and 6 other people on board. Joe Biden became the Democratic nominee for the 2020 U.S. presidential election after Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren dropped out of the race. The Kansas City Chiefs won the Super Bowl after a 50-year drought. By March, the COVID-19 pandemic was hitting the world hard, and we ramped up our methods to contain it, some of which might have failed. The first major epicenters outside of Wuhan, China, were Iran, Italy, and New York City. Brazil, Russia, India, and the U.S. states of Florida and California will later become new epicenters. A lot of things changed due to this, as major events were either canceled or postponed for next year. The bull run ended after 11 years, athletes are performing for empty or socially distanced stadiums, and most movies and shows ended up on streaming platforms. That May, Black Lives Matter made a resurgence after the police killing of George Floyd. The movement stayed in the limelight due to the deaths of various black people at the hands of law enforcement, including Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, and Rayshard Brooks, among others killed that year. Jacob Blake was shot and paralyzed by police armed with an arrest warrant for him. This caused even more unrest in Kenosha, Wisconsin, so much so that it caused a vigilante to take to the streets and kill 2 people. The U.S. started cracking down on TikTok and other Chinese technology firms run by their state government. Around this time, big tech continued to face the wrath of the U.S. government. The issues range from antitrust laws to data collection to political bias, something that has not been seen since the 1990s with Microsoft. It remains to be seen. Protests continued all over the world, from Belarus to Thailand to Hong Kong. A French teacher was beheaded by a refugee pupil after showing a drawing depicting the Muslim prophet Muhammad. SpaceX launched its first manned flight, Ford unveiled 3 new Bronco models, and the Hummer may return as an electric vehicle. Microsoft unveiled the Xbox Series X and Series S, and Sony unveiled the PlayStation 5. An explosion in Beirut killed over 200 people and injured over 7,500 others that August, with the explosion being felt as far as Cyprus. We got Hurricane Laura, Tropical Storm Faye, Hurricane Isaias, Hurricane Sally, Tropical Storm Beta, and Hurricane Iota, among other hurricanes. This became the most active hurricane season and the 7th most costless hurricane season on record as of this writing, at costs of over $41 billion US. Wildfires hit the western United States this summer, as usual, this time causing an air quality that was worse than China in some cases. Ellen DeGeneres got exposed for having a toxic work environment on the set of her show. Jimmy Kimmel got canceled by the internet, mainly for appearing in blackface in the early 2000s and after hosting the 72nd Primetime Emmy Awards with Anthony Anderson. Netflix released a controversial French film, Cuties, on its platform outside of France, and it brought back the discussion of sexualizing and exploiting very young children. Come to think about it, this is definitely the year of exploited children. It started in January with Chris Hansen going to Onision's house. It then continued with other YouTubers such as Shane Dawson, Cosmodor, and Antunes. The latter involving a non-binary minor. For those of you who are unaware, these people are groomers. They will often abuse their power by having underage fans send nude photos of them or perform explicitly for them. And it concluded with allegations against Pyrocynical, who was accused of sending Rule 34 art to a person 4 years younger than him. And he responded with quite possibly the best apology video on YouTube. That September, U.S. Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg died at the age of 87 after a fight with pancreatic cancer. Amy Coney Barrett was sworn in quickly afterwards, causing an uneven balance in the U.S. Supreme Court and possibly to the American justice system to an extent. Various laws on things such as health care and disability rights are on the brink and face uncertainty. But on the upside of the justice system, Harvey Weinstein was sentenced to 23 years in prison and will effectively be spending the rest of his life behind bars. That October, we found a nest of murder hornets in Washington state. Also that same month, Donald Trump tested positive for COVID-19 after months of downplaying its severity. And Joe Biden was elected as the 46th President of the United States after a week of ballot counting. To conclude this crazy year, a report came out about Australian special forces committing war crimes during the War on Terror, and the global amount of COVID-19 cases reaching over 75 million. On Christmas morning, an RV rigged with a bomb exploded in Nashville, Tennessee, outside of an AT&T building. Fortunately, only 3 people were injured. The human remains of the perpetrator were found in the rubble, and as of this writing, the motive is unknown and is under investigation. And this concludes Part 1. Part 2 will be looking back at this year's entertainment, trends, memes, internet drama, and we'll close with an in memoriam for those we lost this year. And until then, this is G.I. Joe Fan 2001, wishing that you'd stay safe, and I'll see you soon in the new year.